Moon Hunters is a Diablo-style dungeon crawler by indie developer Kitfox Games. Alright, so describing this as Diablo-esque is equal parts right and equal parts wrong. You're going to be exploring procedurally generated areas with all sorts of enemy mobs just like Diablo, but Moon Hunters is a heck of a lot more chill than Diablo. The plot of Moon Hunters is simply that your tribe worships the moon, while there is a whole other sect of people that worship the sun instead. One night, the moon doesn't rise and the leader of the sun cult threatens the end of the world. It's at this point that everything in the plot will completely diverge depending on the choices you make, and they will give you different personality traits as well. Even in multiplayer, everyone will end up with different personality traits. So if you act like a huge dick, the game will recognize that and give you a trait like Vengeful. These traits have a direct effect on the story. Certain NPCs can only be interacted with if you have the right traits, and your ending will also change depending on these traits. You can also have a laugh when your friends end up with the Seductive trait. Needless to say, Moon Hunters is a very open-ended game. While I normally get really frustrated at games that are this freeform, this one wisely keeps it short and sweet. Once you begin the game proper, you have a limited number of days to explore the world before coming up against the last boss. So it's not like Assassin's Creed where you're running around bored as hell just trying to get from mission to mission to finish the damn thing. Moon Hunters essentially forces you to think really hard about where you're going to go next. If you want to go check out that mysterious bridge on the map, then you're going to have to make sure you take the right path there. Each area in the game will have a random assortment of things to find, such as merchants and items. Found items, such as fish and honey, are used in cooking at the end of each day, and these items will stick with you throughout each playthrough. Some of these recipes you can make are pretty gross sounding, like adding cheese to water gets you weird soup. Cheese water. Okay, to be fair, weird soup is kind of a cooking failure, but you know, the fact that you could even try that is a little bit weird. There are more activities to take part in at the end of a day, such as stargazing or hunting, and all of these have an effect on your stats. I never found this stuff all that important, so I generally just picked whatever I felt like doing. I know it sounds whack to not care about your stats, but let me get into that a little later here. Entering an area from the world map will bring you to a procedurally generated area that you can explore. While I really like the Diablo style of the maps, I do wish there was more to see. A lot of the maps feel pretty empty. There aren't even a whole lot of enemies to contend with. Not to mention that some people who play online just want to rip through areas as fast as possible. Yeah, that's such a fun way to play. The actual battle system is fairly simple. Each character class has 3 separate skills that you're able to use in battle, as well as a skill to help speed up your movement, such as teleportation. Now this does vary between the classes a little, but in general this is the case. When you find a shopkeeper, you're able to upgrade your skills as long as you have enough money. Admittedly, the skill system here is pretty shallow. There's no skill tree like Diablo. All you do is upgrade the skills you start with to a certain level, and that's it. To be fair though, a single playthrough is rather short, so a fully fledged tree wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. But it's certainly a downside for people who want something deeper. Each of the classes in the game are suitably unique, however some of them don't really work that well together. For example, if you use the Occultist and the Spellblade, one of the Occultist's attacks holds the enemies in place with vortexes, but then one of the Spellblade's attacks is a knockback and can knock them right out of those vortexes. It's not really the greatest combination. This would be a bigger issue if the game was more difficult, but as it is, it's actually really easy. This definitely lends itself to the very chill nature of the game, but it does feel way too easy to progress. And this is why I said I didn't really care about stats all that much. If you're like me and search all over the place, you'll find more money than you could ever want to upgrade your attacks, and all of the enemies feel like a breeze most of the time. I feel what the game really needs is more things to spend your money on, or a reduction in how much you can gain during the game. The maps could also use some more things to look at and more enemies to fight. It would also be amazing if there could be higher difficulty levels added as well. That'll serve those who just want to chill out, and those who want more of a challenge. When a game wants me to play through it over and over, it really needs to offer me something more. Moving into more positive aspects, the game's graphics have that typical indie look, but the animations are smooth enough to make it look pretty good. I personally prefer 2D graphics with more detail, but I also realize that it takes quite the art budget to produce something that looks like Chrono Trigger. It'd be nice if everyone had access to a big team of rad artists, but, you know. The illustrations that appear in the game are actually quite unique, though. I really like the artist's style and the watercolors they use. It's a more unusual style to see in a video game, and I certainly appreciate it. Now let me get into the best part of this game, the music. The tunes created by Ryan Roth and Helena Herron are breathtaking and melancholy, reflecting the story of this world very keenly. Just listen to the song the songstress sings for you. Listening to that, you can kinda see what I mean about the chill atmosphere of this game. Overall, I found Moon Hunters to be rather enjoyable and relaxing, but there's a lot of shortcomings to it. The lack of difficulty and the rather empty areas make it feel a little bit half-done. This is a fun little game to play with friends if you want to just chill out and kill some stuff, but I can't overly recommend it. However, I totally recommend the soundtrack, and that is absolutely worth listening to.